Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the Shadow Empoleon in the Open Ultra League, and this team is going to be great. Of course, we have to use the best color with this Pokemon, which is going to be the Shadow Dragonite in the bag. But I have to say, I would really recommend you, if you want to run Empoleon, run it in the lead. For me at least, and also from the builds that I played before with not this team, I have to say most Pokemon where Empoleon is great against are in the lead right now, so definitely try to use it there. I actually tried some different teams around this Pokemon as well prior, which did not really work out that well, and so this team is kind of what I came up with at the end. This team can struggle a little bit against Pokemon like Feraligatr lead, but in like basically usually Feraligatr gets used as a safe swap with something like a Dragonite in the lead, so they usually have a lead that is weak against Empoleon, then they safe swap it, and therefore we're going to have our own Dragonite in the bag, which acts as a great answer for Feraligatr, so this team actually works out really well as well, and I can highly recommend you to try this one out. Very strong team for sure. If you don't have the Shadow variant of either of the Pokemon, you can also use the normal variant as well. But yeah, here we also have the Annihilape as a safe swap, one of the strongest Pokemon right now in the meta, for sure worth it to get. And here, look at this, we will be able to still reach another charge move with our Shadow Empoleon, getting the final shield of the opponent. And what we can do now is we can let this move go through, but sadly it's going to be a Trail Blaze, and so I have to overfarm by quite a bit, and I try to go for the last second superpower to get as much damage in as possible, enough to knock them out. It is, and we can move on to the next one. Next opponent coming through. Great lead. Again, like I said before, I encounter quite a lot of Fairy-type or Dragon-type Pokemon in the lead, and yeah, it does make sense that Fairy-type Pokemon are in the lead if every like second or third lead is going to be a Dragon-type Pokemon. So both those Pokemon getting beat easily by the Empoleon, and so we have a great play here as well. We're going to see, by the way, the opponent here with the Gustlord is going to be a very favorable matchup for us. We can use a shield, and we can actually still go ahead and go for maybe even the full farm down. Nah, I go straight for the Ice Punch. I don't really want to risk to use another shield. It is way easier for us to just knock them out and see what is coming up. And next we will see the Clefable, which still has to take a huge Shadow Ball in its face from our Annihilape. And we can avoid this matchup now with our Pokemon in the back, which is going to be, of course, our Dragonite. Moonblast still does around 50% of our health, but it's going to be alright as the opponent has the Mandibuzz in the back. I can go for the Hydro Cannon, get some damage onto them, and swap out into my Dragonite to avoid the Clefable matchup. And so this team is functioning really well here. The opponent goes for Dark Pulse. Actually, honestly, like, Mandibuzz is most likely a very good Pokemon to play in the current meta as well. Would recommend you to try this one out. But as you can see here, the opponent is going to be able to most likely get the knockout against me, but we're still going to be in a great spot as we still have some energy with our Empoleon, and this energy is going to go straight onto the opponent's Mandibuzz, winning us this game, and we can move on into the next game. Next opponent, also a fellow YouTuber, so shouts to her as well. We're going to see here the lead of a Dragonite and the safe swap of Feraligatr. Basically, this goes kind of to plan. Usually what people run with this team in the back is kind of Steel type, something like a Registeel, something like an Empoleon, and so I kind of play in this kind of capacity as well. I expect that they would have something like a Steel type in the back, and so I kind of want to play around this as well. So I decided to go for the Dragonclaw here. You will be able to align your own Empoleon, but of course you still have to keep on shield, as Superpower would one-shot us for sure. Could have waited out a little bit longer and then swapped out maybe on the Superpower into the Annihilate, but of course we don't really know what they have in the back, and you see me here instantly swapping because I expected to be something like the Empoleon as well. Now it is going to be the Ghost-type Pokemon of Jellicent, which does make sense. Like, it is a very good core. Basically, before Empoleon existed, this was the main core as well. Like, this team that they are playing here is a very solid one. Can recommend you this one as well, for sure. I feel like Jellicent has a lot of play in the current meta. Yeah, definitely good one here, but sadly, for us, not what we wanted to face. As we're gonna see here, we have not really any chance. They still decide to go for another charge move here. The Drill Peck is coming through, and we see here they can just farm us down, and so this is going to be it for this one. Next opponent, Greedent lead. What do you do here? You kind of want to stay in for a little bit because this can just allow you to get some extra energy and we can catch the move onto our Annihilate. Energy on Empoleon is really important because there are some matchups where the extra energy really helps you. Here we sadly got the defense drop onto us, which is really tricky because the opponent went into the what's called Tentacruel. If we didn't get the defense drop, I think we would have been kind of fine here getting to another Shadow Ball in time, but like this, Scald is going to take the knockout for sure, and so I can still go back into my Empoleon. I know that I can resist every single charge move from the opponent. Another Scald is coming through, and we're gonna get the attack drop again, which we barely really see nowadays since they changed the animation for it, but we will see that this drill pack is going to take the knockout and we can swap out immediately, especially as they have the Annihilate in the back. This is going to be a little bit of a trickier one. This might be an Ice Punch, so we're kind of forced to use a shield. It's just going to be the Night Slash here, and I wait out until the opponent goes for a charge move with their Greedent because I want to go, of course, for the superpower, which would one-shot them, but also drops our defense. And here, this is going to be a very tough matchup for us. We don't really have a lot of choices here. And also, we are still forced to go for a superpower in order to knock them out. And yeah, I overfarm as much as possible. Try to go for the CMP tile again because it's the best play that we can do. The opponent is going to use no shield, and I decide to go up to a Dragon Claw and now swap out into my Empoleon. And here the opponent makes a huge mistake. They should just go for a charge move, but they actually don't do this, allowing me to get a ton of fast move pressure onto them, just enough to get a Dragon Claw off, and this Dragon Claw is going to be able to connect and knock them out. Could have lost this game for sure if the opponent played it a little bit better. Here's one issue for this team. Talonflame is just like the awkward thing about Empoleon. Being a water type that is going to be kinda weak to a fire type Pokemon is kinda mad and is kinda awkward to play. But maybe we can still do something here. Let's find out together. The opponent is going for a Flame Charge, of course. I can still outspeed them and go for another Hydro Cannon. But I guess you would be able, maybe, I think like the normal variant of Empoleon is actually better for this matchup, thinking about it right now, because you should be able to outspeed them to the next one, but I feel like the Shadow variant is just not able to withstand that long, so yeah, definitely feel like for this kind of matchup, it might be better for you to run the normal variant of Empoleon. But here, the opponent swaps out into the Ampharos, and actually I'm going to learn something in this battle that I didn't know prior, which we're going to see as well, which I'm going to check out real quick on the site, because I'm really interested on how close this one is. But as you're gonna see here, the opponent has their, their Ampharos. They're gonna go for a charge move. It's going to be the Brutal Swing, and I try to CMP tie onto the next one, expecting that I would win the CMP tie. Turns out, I don't, and I was very surprised about this because I always thought like Annihilate has quite a decent attack, and Ampharos I actually never really thought has quite decent attack, so I was very surprised about this. I want to check how close it actually is right now on this side. Ampharos has an attack stat of 100 and basically 62 in the Ultra League, while Annihilate has actually like basically 6 less attack, which is kind of wild. So Annihilate is actually quite clearly going to lose a CMP tie. So something new learned here for me, which is going to sadly cost me the game, but this is what it is. So we can move on to the next opponent. Next one coming up, we're going to have a Cresselia in the lead. Going to be a very decent one for us, and honestly, I still remember this game. This game was kind of showcasing Empoleon quite well, I have to say, as Grassland's coming through, doing some decent damage, but we can go for one charge move here. What I kind of always try to do here in this scenario is I try to keep as much energy as possible, because I know that basically, eventually, the Cresselia might get into a range where we can just farm them all the way down anyway. And so I can go for another charge move here, force a shield from the opponent, totally fine. I can overfarm by quite a bit, and now I still have another charge move stored. And let's see if the opponent wants to swap out or not. They're gonna swap out into, I think it is a Greedent, I'm not too sure about it. I'm going to maybe try to catch a move from the opponent as well. We're gonna do a ton of damage here, and so I can catch the move onto my Annihilate, allowing me to get a ton of energy now as well against the opponent, as they can farm them all the way down. We are not forced to go for another charge move. I should be able to farm down before they can go for another crunch afterwards, so this is going to be great for me, and I have a ton of energy. Let's see what's coming in next. It is going to be maybe Cresselia. Let's find out. It is going to be actually a Nidoqueen. this is going to be amazing. We can go for another charge move here. That's going to be able to get the shield from the opponent, and they swap out into the Cresselia. I can go for another Ice Punch, which is going to take the knockout here as well. Going to be able to now allow us to actually swap out into our Empoleon, knocking out the Nidoqueen as well, and we win with 3 Pokemon left, and they didn't even see my final Pokemon. Next opponent, we're going to have the worst possible lead for our team. It's going to be Feraligatr. Basically, Feraligatr is the one and only core breaker really for our lead and our save swap. I guess if they run Crunch, it's going to be a little bit worse, but if they go for the Ice Beam, you might be able to wall at least the charge moves onto your lead, but it's still not really a great matchup as your fast moves going to be resisted, while theirs are neutral. So I rather swap out of here. The opponent goes for another charge move, and I can at least go ahead and go to my Dragonite, but of course we're in a really tough spot. I would imagine that Feraligatr lead is quite rare though, like usually people run in the back as a closer or as a save swap, so here we are forced to use a shield as they have actually the Ice Beam, so maybe it would have been better to go into the Empoleon, but they're going to have the Cresselia here. Honestly, I make a mistake. I should have went for a charge move against the Cresselia as well, but I didn't, and so like now they have the move stall anyway, and I would never be able to get my second move off anyway there, but we get completely hardwalled, so we can move on to the next opponent. This is the main reason why I wanted to run the Empoleon in the lead, as I expected a lot of Dragonite leads here in the current meta. Again, save swap of Feraligatr, we're exactly prepared for this. So basically, like I built this team to counter the most common team right now in the Open Ultra League, and this is actually working out pretty well. Let's see, this time around, maybe they don't have a Jellicent in the back, but something that I can actually like beat would be kind of nice for us. But as you're gonna see, the opponent goes back into their own Dragonite, allowing me to still reach another charge move. Going to be able to get the shield from them, and also we can get them kind of low. So our Empoleon is going to enjoy this farm down. Let's see what they're gonna do here. They're gonna decide to go for the superpower, and let's see what they have in the back. It's going to be the Annihilate against the Sandslash, and this is going to be a very easy matchup. Next opponent, oh, let's see, it's going to be another Dragonite, and so again the opponent swaps out, this time around into the Jellicent. And this is like the awkward part for this team, I have to say. Jellicent is just very tricky to deal with. Maybe there is like a Dragonite matchup where, or like a setup, whatever, where this Pokemon would be a little bit better for it. But as you're gonna see here, the opponent can go for a Surf, and the opponent's still going to be able to reach another charge move, which is sadly going to be the Shadow Ball. And so this is going to be a great matchup for them. And I can still go for the full farm down, and I just have to hope they can still reach another Dragon Claw in time. But even if I get to another Dragon Claw in time, it is still going to be very tricky for me. I actually reach this one, which is kind of important, but still Superpower would knock me out there. Maybe, honestly, I should have went into my Annihilate immediately, but I decided to swap out instead. They can go up to another charge move here as well, which is going to be great for them, so they have a Dragon Claw and a Superpower stored. They have their own Poliwrath in the back, which is going to be very ideal for them as well, as it's going to be a matchup that actually we would be able to win usually, but because we are so low, this is sadly going to be a loss. But what I have to say as well, here the opponent played it basically perfect, so or well played by the opponent. I don't really want to always be like, oh yeah, but I could have won this, like this and this. No, like well played by the opponent, really, really well played there. Don't think there was anything I could have done there at the end, but yeah, this is going to be it for this game. Well, let's move on to the final one of the day. We're going to encounter another Charizard here in the lead, which is going to be a little bit of a trickier one for us, as Charizard is going to be able to go for those Blast Burns, which again are neutral, and this is like the bad thing for us. Basically, Blast Burn is going to nearly annihilate us, and so I decided to use a shield. Very likely that they're going to go for the bait, and of course I decided to go for the bait, but I cannot really risk it. And they make a great catch here on the Cresselia, of course, because Cresselia is perfect for catching this. I would have thrown this move anyway, doesn't really matter. But what I can go for is I can go ahead and use no shield here, and maybe overfarm by even a little bit more now, trying to go for the perfect catch onto my Dragonite, and this is literally perfect. It's going to be a Grass Knot. I will double resist this move. I can still go for a Dragon Claw in time, knocking them out, and I have a ton of energy stored for the Charizard onto my Empoleon, and this is going to be very important for later on, as now they can go for a charge move. It's going to be the Dragon Claw, of course, going to be super effective, but we can actually still survive it, and they cannot chicken out here, gonna be able to go for the Dragon Claw, but like this was not necessary. They could have farmed me down if they wanted to, but like this I can just go for those very hard-hitting moves. I actually decided to go for the Drill Peck here on purpose because maybe they have an answer against me in the back and they would swap out immediately. But now they don't have an answer in the back. They're going to have the Swampert in the back, and Swampert will not enjoy the matchup against our Annihilape either. So this is going to be a good game. I can see here, if we can see what the opponent tries to do here, I think an Earthquake barely doesn't knock me out. They have to go for an Earthquake here though, and they didn't, and so I can just go for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to nearly enough to knock them out. Actually, it is enough with some more counters, and so we can win this game. Hope you enjoyed this video. Very great team to use right now. Empoleon, very, very strong. Would recommend you to use it on the lead especially. But yeah, this is good to be it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.